Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay,
Welcome back.
I just want to say welcome to the new subscribers, welcome back, old subscribers, and welcome to the people who are clicking on this video thinking that they're going to see the actual reunion.
Oh my gosh,
Unfortunately,
guys.
this is not the actual
I'm not
reunion.
doing that.
However, we will be discussing what happened on the actual reunion part 2, okay? Because the last video we had some conversation. I was thinking about it in this sense, right? Like we're in the house talking about Ready to Love reunion, and then there's some people who haven't seen it that want to see it, so they're standing outside of our house and they're like, yeah, they're talking about it, but we want to see the actual reunion. So they're just, that's how I looked at those comments on the last video. I was like, they're so funny. But I'm glad somebody actually posted, went on, uploaded the actual reunion part 2.
Yeah.
For people who can't stream it. But you're welcome to stay here and listen to us talk about what happened, okay? Anyway, I just
listen, and I'm not gonna say it's better, but I'll say that.
Hey, Ellen.
Hey, Ellen. For this particular season, Ellen says, for the truth, the editing was so bad.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, we did it at the same time. The editing was so bad that it is more enticing and entertaining to watch some of these interviews and side, like remarks and things like that aren't a part of the, the lineup of the episodes, only because you can tell that, you can tell they really tried to scratch something together here. And I'm not trying to shade anyone or say that they didn't do a good job. Well, okay, listen, I'm not trying to shade anyone. Okay. But I think we can all be adults and admit when we didn't do our best that could have been done. And this was a case where this is not the best that it could have been done. And it's okay. Like, we still watched, but it's like, look, it is what it is. So
yeah, it was like meh to me. Like, okay, it's the second part. I gotta watch it because I watched the first part. But you're right. The most entertaining things have been things that didn't happen on the show. It was the side stuff on social media. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I didn't see. I was like, I didn't see.
Hey, Mocha.
Hey, Mocha. I didn't see like who had already had some things scheduled after the thing. So I don't know. I guess I can't wait to see those reunion post reunion interviews. But now I'm kind of like, if I do, if I don't, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Am I tripping? Was the last part like okay, we talked about the editing, and involved in that is when they show the sequence of stuff. So some of this, we don't know when some of the stuff occurred. We don't know. Like, I was confused at who actually said there's a feather. People were saying that Jessica said it. Some people were saying that Janelle said it, but I couldn't see who actually said it. So editing is like rampant all up and through there. So I don't know.
And I can't be bothered to watch the interviews. Yo, that's so accurate. Listen, the accuracy is real. However, we did commit to doing this. Demita and I did. Demita Joe and I committed to watching this, and it wasn't like, I
mean, listen. I'm just.
It wasn't torturous
compared to other seasons. This was not
the one.
Yeah, no, I'm not feeling it. Oh, and the only things that I wrote down was that they probably put stuff up there that was out of sequence, like, how everything happened. I wasn't trusting any of the backstage like commentary or footage because I'm like, I don't know when they said that. You guys can put that shit anywhere. Yeah. And then I wrote down they talked about combative again. And I wrote down that Q and Janelle are romantically pursuing each other day to day. I was like,
what? That shit sounded like smoke. Look, I gotta be real here, everybody. And I appreciate the cast members, and I felt like everybody showed up. They looked their best. I really appreciated them. But okay, let me just start from the beginning. Jessica, so we started back with that clip with Jessica and Morier on the couch looking like they were forcing a relationship. They ended up admitting that, they are still dating. And then Tommy made a comment about like, well, I'm going to check back in another year and I don't want to hear that you're still dating or something to that effect. Now, Red is in the room. We, like you said, we don't know what the timing of what was. We don't know if that was his real reaction to this scene, but Red made a comment. We mentioned this in the last episode where he's like, if they don't kiss, it ain't real. Right? Now, listen, I like Morier, I like Jessica, but I don't believe that they're actually in a romantic relationship. That being said, it doesn't matter what I believe. They can be, pregnant with twins, as far as I know. But what I'm saying is, it seemed like contrived. It seemed like you sit here and you sit here, okay? Hold hands, smile for the camera. It was like, I wasn't buying it. You know what I mean? But I do think that they both were, they could be suited for one another, right? Like, I don't think that they were not attracted to one another. I think both of them were attractive, but I just didn't catch on. And maybe it wasn't for me to catch on, but, it probably had something to do with the fact that it's not actually real. Anyway, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, LMV says, I checked out by the time Q and Janelle had their moment. Are they still dating? See, that we don't know. Like, the only thing that I saw from them recently, because we know that reunion was filmed like 6 weeks after they wrapped. So they hadn't even seen the show or anything. Right. Nothing exciting that happened on social media happened by that point, right? And so when their last live, I think they have a good vibe together, but that vibe wasn't a love vibe to me. But it's not for me to judge. Like, that's their thing. But as a viewer, I was just like, oh, they seem like they're really cool with each other. But I didn't feel like it was, he was so funny. I didn't feel like it was like we found love with each other. You know what I mean? And then he was packing for a trip to go to a wedding the next day. And so she had made a comment and said, oh, you're up late. And then he was like, yeah, I'm packing for this wedding I got to go to tomorrow. And I was like, why don't you know that? So that's why I was like, okay, they real cool. They must not be together, because wouldn't she know that he was going to be packing?
Yeah, and it could have been like a little weird comment that they make. Like, they could have been in the same
for the audience
environment or whatever. But
true that.
Here's what I'll say to that, though. Like, all right, look, regarding Janelle, I think it's true. The statement is true. I think everybody could agree to the fact that Janelle is bothersome to most of the cast members. Now, whether the cast members want to admit that or not, but like, she caused a ruckus. Her presence, her being, whatever she was saying to people and however she was treating people was causing a situation that was reactive. Like, people were not in agreement or in alignment with what she was putting out. And I think that, what we talked about last week was that, and even in weeks prior to that, is that Jessica got away with it. Like, oh, she's whatever, people, we know that Chris called her combative, which also came up, which we're going to touch on. But I think Janelle did not get away with it. I think, here's some of the things that they called her. They called her rude, belittling. Kat specifically says she tried to hear Janelle out, but she found her to be combative. She rubs her the wrong way with her words. And other people said things too. Chris made comments. Now, here's what she says. Just Janelle said, everyone in the cast had an issue with her, and she felt like they were obsessed with her. And I think the whole situation is like mad dramatic. She made the comments about challenging their mediocrity, which is all, staged and rehearsed. It's like, okay, that's your big come out line. And I understand, but it's like, you had to come up with a come out line, and that deserves some reflection on her part, right? Like, when you have to come into a room and you have to make up a line to say, to like make people understand like what you're about. It's like, well, now we know that you're, listen, it's a game to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what you say to people in the church lobby. Like, you're playing a role.
Even now, like, even in that last live she did, she said that she did not mess with a lot of those people or whatever. So, she was involved in a lot of situations throughout the season. I mean, if you look at the season, she was like the star of the season pretty much, because she was in every episode about something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then, so, I mean, that's just her personality. I know people like that too. I know people that have those types of personalities and they're okay with themselves. Well, that's subjective, but they're them, and people just move around. Like, And that situation just was crazy. And I don't believe that they're together, but again, it was the Janelle show.
It was, and
Was the
people didn't
Janelle
want
show.
to admit that, but I think that, listen, regardless of whether no, unfortunately, we didn't see the footage of her doing whatever she's being accused of doing. Like, I see that she has like a big bravado like personality, and that can be hard to take in. I think sometimes for people.
Hey, Miss Gingy, I'm sorry.
Oh no! Hey, Miss Gingy, she said, "Am I the only one who didn't see Janelle actually being rude and disrespectful to the other women?" I did. Okay, so the first thing I saw in that regard was online. So when she went up to somebody's house, and I saw that before I saw any signs of her being disrespectful. But once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. And then as I watched the episodes, because that was online, that was on IG. So once I saw that and I knew what she was capable of, then that put the lenses on me. Like whatever she had showed the cameras or whatever they were showing as far as the footage that they've produced and they are now showing us the show. No, I wouldn't have been looking for that. But when I saw her jump out at someone's residence and go up to their security guard and say, that's why I was like, oh, okay.
Like, because this is the thing though, like this comment right here. Ellen said, Kat told her to pull up and so she did. Now, whether she was right or wrong, some people you cannot say that to and not expect them to actually do it. Okay. But I will say the first instance that I suspected that she might have been rude was when the whole Kira and the purse bag situation came up that episode. And I was like, oh, she didn't even have to do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of who Kira is or whatever, like, did she have to put her down to lift herself up type of thing? And I'm sure she doesn't think she was doing that, but it just came off as unnecessary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was the first time that I suspected that because I thought that was not polite. But as we went along, we started to see that certain other things might have prompted certain responses. So she did have a situation when they were at the getaway, right? She called Kat a B in response to being called one. So we don't know when the stuff happened, but we can all agree that she has a personality that is highly likely to butt heads versus not because of what we've seen, right? There's no way you can have an issue with all of those people and not be a little bit,
and it not be something that you're
and I mean sometimes it is like that, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so yeah, I do think that she is sarcastic and rude and she's sarcastic, and in the moments that she chooses to be sarcastic, it comes off rude, or we could say bitchy. She's bitchy. That's definitely what I could say that I saw tonight, because it's like some stuff just doesn't need you egging it on. Like we're going here, people are saying stuff. The impact of the statement should be the impact of the statement. Like you're not 15. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but like I said, it was the Janelle show. Like she was in most of the episodes. Stuff was revolving around her. I could see why people would think that she had some type of like favoritism on the cast, because she even said out her mouth everybody that she had a problem with or something like that went home or something. And it's like, okay,
like they had no connections. They went home shortly after. First of all, she accused people of being mediocre and being challenged by her presence. I'm paraphrasing here, but she essentially, if you're standing in a room and someone challenges the mediocrity of the room, it's like you're gonna be, objective to that. So it's just like, ma'am, sir, like have several seats. Let me help you.
And I think that she's like, you can't. It only works in certain situations too, because like for me, I personally I just looked. You can do so much until now I'm looking at you like a character, and now it doesn't even matter. I'm just having my chuckle or whatever. And Janelle is. She, now I'm chuckling because of the stuff that she's doing, right? I do want to know who said the feather thing, because people were debating whether it was Jessica, whether it was Janelle, I don't know. But she is the personality, like Ellen said. You tell somebody to pull up, you might come across a person that's going to pull up, and that person is also the same person that is not going to stop talking shit when a regular person would stop talking shit. She's gonna go beyond that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I mean, I feel like from the little bit that we see on her on the show, that's how she comes across in this scenario. But then again, like, these people were all strangers. Well, they could have known each other before that, some of them, but they were pretty much all. I'm just saying they're pretty much all strangers. So like, how would you react in a situation where you're there with with a group of ladies who's going after the same man as you? So it's like, in certain situations you can expect certain comments or behavior, and it's not. I don't know. It's like I always say, it must be tough to do it on TV.
Yeah.
Because you got all those different personalities, and at the end of the day, everybody's a stranger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I do like the way, I want to say that a lot of them carried themselves. I love the way Aries carried himself. I love the way that, even though we didn't see a lot of Christopher, I like the way Christopher came in with his cornrows. I like the way that himself. You know what I'm saying? I like the way Herbert carried himself,
I did too. Oh God.
And then for the women to continue, I'm sorry, I gotta go on now. Aries, I like Sierra. Sierra was herself. I felt like she was genuine. So we did get a couple of good things out of this, in that we did see some people actually learn something about themselves, or something like that. So but as far as the reunion, I was just like, oh, okay, all right, it's over. It didn't feel like a big bang or anything.
It didn't feel like I got my bang for my buck. If I'd have paid for that ticket, I'd have been blown.
Yeah, and the season seemed like it was so long. Like this, it feels like we've been talking about this for like 6 months.
Oh my God, it seems that, but it's so uneventful. And so, okay, let me say this. Janelle, even though she mentioned that people were obsessed with her, I did think she had a couple of valid points. Not all of them were valid. Because she said, these are all people with no connections. I don't agree. Like, people had connections. You know what I'm saying? But I would.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, how do you even know? Like, you just listen.
Right.
You just know what you've been told by the men, or what you're deducing from how they're talking.
Whatever you're seeing.
You don't know what they said to the other women. You don't know what the men said to the other women. So it's like, why are you even focused on whether they have connections or not?
Case in point. You know what I'm saying? Now I gotta tell two sides, because you don't know what the men are saying to other women. And they show her reaction when Quentin was watching the scenes between him and Lee. Now, this is the stuff I was waiting for all season. I was like, yo, what's up with Lee and Q? Because they saying they have a connection, but I ain't seen no dates. Now we see a couple of these clips from the dates, and he's going in with her, and she's receiving it. And I think at the end of the day, and I'm going to say it right now, even though I had it in my later notes, I think at the end of the day, Janelle just had a little more game than Lee had. And perhaps Lee and Q could have been a match, but Janelle just had a little more game, and she went and she got the product. And now that he cut himself off from having other connections because he got. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he got like he got a bad product, but it's just like she went and got him. She like kind of like did some psychology there and recognized like what he needed in the short term, and she wrapped him up.
Yo, okay, so that is a real thing.
Like, game. It is what it is.
Okay, in a sense, this is what we see every season on Ready to Love. This is kind of, in a sense, what we see, because you have, let's just say, general, two groups of people. You have the group of people like Lee, who want to be pursued, who is just waiting for the man to make the move and take the lead and make the decision.
And you waited out. You got waited and timed out.
Then you got the other one who is like, put me in the game. I'm ready to run plays, and I'm gonna, So yeah, whether it's psychologically
today,
whether it's psychologically or not, it's like some guys are. You never know which guy you're gonna get. Is he the guy that wants you to tell him how you feel and make it known and all of that, or is he the kind of guy who wants to be more assertive in that department and let the woman follow? So yeah, because Lee, if she would have had more of Janelle's assertiveness, who knows how it would have went, because in that situation, one person kind of canceled themselves out, because Janelle got to a point where Quentin be speaking and saying, yeah, I'm taken. But there
Yeah.
was some time before that where if he would have objected, it would have been different. Or you know, I don't know. Like it all depends on the vibe. And there's some dudes who go with that with like they can't help it. Like, oh, she's in charge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
So,
understand that's what happened to him though. Okay, because that's what I see. Because if Lee had asserted herself and said, "No, you're mine, and I'm going to show you that," he might have been interested in that. Now, I'm not saying that's what women should do, but I feel like that's what Janelle did, and that was enough for him to be, occupied. You know
I mean, yeah, because if he would have stood up and been like, "Nope, I'm good. I'm not finna," he would have never told Janelle, "I'm still exploring my options."
No,
like he wouldn't have.
Janelle had enough
like
game to figure out what it is that he needed, and then she did whatever, and then he was like, "Okay, I guess this is."
I mean, yeah, because he knew that if he didn't, then she was going to move on. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. She just exuded that type of personality to me. But Ella says Lee was boring. Q ain't want her. He didn't even try. Yeah, it did appear that he didn't even try. And they did, you know, what they showed us of her, it wasn't a lot, but then they didn't show her doing a lot. You know what I'm saying? But
Ella be saying stuff, and it be so true. You can't like deny it, or whatever. But it's like so funny because it's like, damn, she's right.
Yeah, I know, right?
Listen, he didn't try. I feel like they were both a little sort of like, I don't know what the character is in Winnie the Pooh. It's like the donkey or something. That'd be like, oh, okay. Like I can't. I can just remember the voice, and it might be another character. It's just like, oh, guess we're going here today. You know what I mean? And I feel like they both sort of had that energy. I feel like both Quinn and Lee like show up ready to be like steered in the direction of where we're going today. Like, oh, I'm just showing up. And I think Janelle is more of a person like, okay, here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Q was attracted to that, and he couldn't, turn away from it. Like that's what it was.
Yeah,
and then she lost that one.
But
so
at the same
Janelle
time,
had more game.
At the same time, just like Lee said on the reunion tonight or whatever, there was a point where he probably couldn't pick her because she, I'm pretty sure she had her own line. Like, well, if this dude don't call me and start talking to me or show me attention by this time, it's a wrap. And then she had to make her exit. However, she made her exit. I mean, it's pros and cons with both, but that's actually what we talk about each season as a general. Like, it's those two different groups of people, because who's supposed to take this lead and who. I don't know. Some relationships don't happen or connections don't happen because one person is like, I'm not gonna go chase this person.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
It's like, dang, it's every season. So I don't know. And now it's like, okay, we are not going to get the second season of Dallas yet because Ready to Love, Ready to Move comes on next week on at the same time slot. So who knows? But I will say that, I'm glad this season is over.
Damn.
I do want to. I mean, I do want to see some of the interviews, but there's nothing to see here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Mocha just sent me some. Hold on, let me look and see. It's something that Janelle said.
Look, while you're reading that, I just want to say that I don't think you do either like side with any one person, but I feel like this is sort of like a microcosm of what's happening in the dating pool, to be honest, because it's like, all of them are really good catches if you really want to break it down. Like they're all like, either and attractive and ambitious. Like, you're not ambitious. You're already ambitious if you got on a network show, right? So like they're all like well-to-do. I wouldn't say affluent. I don't know all of their financial portfolios, but like they all seem like attractive, young, vibrant Black people who are just kind of like on the scene enough to be like, hey, I'm going to be on this show. They're all a catch. But what I would say is there are some people, when you put in an environment of your peers, that you just play to your strengths. Some people play to their strengths, and some people focus on what's not working for them. And I think we see a clear distinction of people who were vying for sort of like an even playing field as opposed to like doing what they came to do. And it's, it's interesting because, it's not a game show necessarily, but it seems like the people who didn't get connections were actually focused on other things. You know what I'm saying? Like focused on how they were being treated by the same sex, cast members, or they're focused on, something else. They didn't have any connections, but they were focused on something else. And I think that's a screaming flag. It's like, well, you're on a show called Ready to Love and you're not focused on love. You're focused on how this person is talking to you, or you're focused on how you're treated in these settings. And it's like, well, if you were actually, visualizing and walking in the spirit of what you really want, then maybe you wouldn't even notice those things and they're not important to you. But if you're saying they're important to you, like that's your message on Ready to Love, so that's why you didn't find a connection. But also, I do think there was BS on the side of, on editing. I'm sorry, did I go on the
No, keep talking, Ellen. Go to hell to the last 2 paragraphs. But the other part is interesting too, like what she said. But I'm not reading all that right now. Okay. But it did me bust out laughing a couple of times because I don't know. We'll talk about that in a second.
You read all that. Okay, we're gonna look at that in a second. But then Kat and Jessica. Okay, look, let's talk about Jessica and Chris. Chris did get a chance on here, and the interview that I saw of Chris kind of outlined something that I didn't really want to see. Like, I just felt like he kind of like, mitched up a little in that interview that I saw after this. But then I realized, like, in a sequence sort of aspect, this reunion was filmed before I saw like him talking about what happened and Morier coming on and stuff like that. But like, honestly, they showed right then and there that Chris lied about using the word combative. He said he didn't, and they showed the tapes. And
yeah.
And so that really means something. And he went on to explain like why he said those things or how he felt about the way that people were being treated. But again, we have no footage, but we have footage of you acting in a way that is, not representative of what you do, but you did it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I was glad at least they did get that part on the reunion, even though it was filmed so early. They did get to be like, you said it, right?
Yeah.
But he did another interview recently that I haven't watched yet. Kamisha interviewed him in person, so I got to catch that because that was she premiered that earlier, I think, right after the show.
So let me just address Kat real quick.
He still didn't take accountability.
He did not. And it's like one of those things where he was like, well, this is, what made me react in that way. And I know it was edited poorly.
Now, him and Leah are together now, right?
It seems like that because I saw some pictures that I was like, they were like suggestive of them being sort of like in a romantic situation. But I don't know that for sure. I feel like they are, because he did make a comment too on Crystal XO's interview where he was talking about like, about her and about how he kind of like got what he came for or something like this. Anyway, let me say this.
If y'all
he did not take accountability, and I did not like the way, I don't know if this happened like this real time, but Tommy sort of didn't allow Jessica to finish her statement. And I didn't like that because it was just kind of like, we're shirking over the fact that she was disrespected. No matter, what she did, it's like he said that, and it was okay for him to be like, well, I apologize. So, sorry I did that, but, whatever, let's move on. But then she didn't get the chance to respond, or I didn't see it.
So or we didn't see it because he did address the fact that he didn't like the way that it was unacceptable to be talked to like that or whatever. You know what I mean? But, I don't know. You got to take his talking twos with a grain of salt because sometimes he doesn't do it. So I had to give him points for actually addressing it, on camera or whatever.
For sure. And I do like the way that he addressed Shaba as well, because it was like, dog, you can't do that. But then I didn't understand what the timing was for him to play his saxophone. But, I'll never get it, guys. So
that was crazy.
So Kat was on this sort of like tour of like, I don't understand what Kat's. I think she looks beautiful. I think she's a good person. She's probably a fun time to hang out with, but it didn't seem like she had any real matches, so I was confused as to like why she was on the show, because it didn't really seem like she was. I mean, it seemed like she was looking, but it didn't seem like she had any matches. It seemed like everything she was doing was kind of like friend zoning or something. I don't know. But Kat had the most to say, or the most that was aired in addressing other people about their issues.
They did.
But nobody really had any issues. And this is an indication, in my opinion. Nobody really had any issues to bring up with her, which means we didn't really see who she is, in my opinion, because it's like, okay, you had all these connections, but no one chose you. You didn't get close to anybody. We don't really know who you are, right? Like, I don't know that much about Kat. Nobody's calling her any names. Not that that's not like bad or anything. Like, nobody is characterizing her in any particular way. Like, oh, she's so passionate, or she's, combative, or she's quiet, or we don't know anything about Kat other than the fact that she's like advocating for everybody else's beef. But what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, she said something in the interview that kind of made sense to me, because people are like, well, she shouldn't have stayed and she should have left or whatever. But it's like, yeah, you signed up to do something, and why not see it through to the end? You know what I mean? So I kind of understood that, but she did come in as a curveball, so she came in late, so she didn't, people probably were already clicked up to or whatever. So, I don't know, like,
But you don't have any real interest in, like, you know what I'm saying?
I think that after I watched the interview of hers, I was like, an interview, and when I saw her on a couple of lives, that made me more into like, oh, okay, like she is not, I don't know, like her personality came out more when I saw her talking to people.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying? Versus what they showed us, what they edited, but overall, like, when we're, I don't know, I can just speak for you and I or whatever, when we're discussing these shows, like, we don't know these people. Like, we're just giving honest commentary as viewers, that happen to also be female. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, overall, I don't hate any of their existence or anything on the show, but I just think that this season was just not about whatever experiment that Ready to Love is saying that they're trying to do. They didn't send people their connections. They
man, amen. That was very well said.
That's crazy. So I'm gonna leave that part right there or whatever. But I think overall as a cast, I think that they have, let's look at it like that. I think overall as a cast, I think there's some good stuff to come out of that season as far as the personalities. Like, I heard Sierra talking about doing more shows. I could see her on TV again. I definitely could see Janelle doing something else, even though I don't think that she's said that she was interested, but she might be interested in another show. You know what I mean? Like, she's good. I
feel like she said that earlier in one of her
live
I saw. Right?
Yeah, because she's good for TV, whether people like it or not. Like, those are that's part of what, people like to watch. Like, I can sit over here and talk about positive stuff for 2 hours.
Oh my God.
Views, but if somebody's arguing, they're gonna get views. So like Janelle's personality, and then the way she's very slick, shady, like she knows how to put some words together, whatever. She's good TV. So then I can see some of the guys doing other stuff too. You know what I mean? So I think this cast was good for the potential of what's to come in the future. But this season was just like, all right, on to the next. Like, we're even questioning, like, not we as in you and me, but like there's a group of people that watch that are even questioning, are they canceling the show because they're not even going to show the second like part of Dallas, and they're going to come with this new show. But I think that they see all these other shows popping up on around, and they want to be like, okay, we need something else in the mix. We can start with what we already have and tweak it with this Ready to Move thing. But then from there, who knows where it could go. And who knows how that season went? Nobody's talking about the second season. So, I don't know. But if they do show it, I'm there for it.
I think Ready to Move is a good concept. And I feel like the only natural progression would be to highlight 3 men after this. Mm-hmm. And
maybe they could call it something else. You know what I mean?
I think Ready to Move is a good line because it also, it has a double entendre or maybe even more than that, a multiple entendre, if you will. But it's also one of those things where they're recycling personalities that they have tested and have proven to be, so I think that could go somewhere because it's not like you're starting from scratch and you're showing people based off of what you think people want to see.
Absolutely.
You actually have proven, data to show that people like this, and
it was hold your thought because I want you to finish. I'm just going to interject right here. That was a good look going back to season 1 to get somebody. I'll just say that.
So, and I didn't even know that because as I've said, I've not watched all of the seasons, but I also feel like they chose controversy, and I think there's something to that because I was talking about somebody else earlier that I don't like, and I won't mention her name, but she's well known in the media. And she just attacks people and she gets a lot of shine from it. But I realized today that, I have heard this listening to different, neurologists and, different podcasts, what's his name? Okay, so Andrew Huberman, who works at Huberman Labs out in Stanford, and then Joe Dispenza. That's what I was thinking. They do studies on brain science, and it's been said a couple of times as I've been listening to different people like that humans desire different stimuli, and one of the things that we love is to be irritated. Now it sounds funny, but we we're so stimulated by being irritated that we'll go and seek out and put ourselves in environments where we're destined to be irritated. And it's so funny because I was listening to this person earlier because somebody else was playing them, but then I also was like, keep playing it. I want to hear this bullshit. I laughed because I was like, oh, it's working. You know what I'm saying? Whatever this person is doing is working because I don't like it. I'm looking forward to not liking it. I'm looking forward to the next thing that I can break down and be like, this is why this is not cool. But I think that proved the point. And I think that Owen can be onto something if they are choosing sort of their most controversial or even a couple sprinkle them in, the people who got a lot of attention but were not necessarily ready to love, right? You're trying them in a different format because people like to watch them, but now we're going to shake it up and we're going to put them over here so people are going to watch them. They're familiar with it, they're whatever, but it's I think it could work for them if they play it that way. But I think I almost want someone to come out and acknowledge that, this wasn't our best game. You know what I'm saying? It's
you'll never know that.
I want somebody to come out and be like, this season we didn't do it. It's they need to consult with the Washington Commanders and figure out how to come out and say statements like that.
Oh, Lord.
So that they can just address the public and be like, listen, we doctored together some shit. We filmed. Listen, somebody can even come out in defense of production and be like, listen, we showed up to work every day on time. We created environments. We recorded footage. And when we got back to the editing room, we didn't have shit. So this is what we came up with. And, whether you like it or not, we tried our best. And not everything is a win, right? I just want somebody to say that or something. Because otherwise, it's they're playing with my emotions. It's we know this stuff is not... Okay, let me just say this part. There was the time when we talked about the feather thing. When they came back into that room after... obviously Tequila was visibly upset and shaking her leg. And I think this was in sequence. I was oh, clusterfuck. I don't even know it's real anymore. So I think what happened was they came back from that set and then Tequila was visibly upset. She was in there humming. And then I think it was Janelle who said, I don't know though, who said, oh, the feather or whatever. And then Tequila went off a little bit. Then Janelle, okay, now notice this. Janelle was at the table by herself. In the next scene, it looks like a seamless conversation, but Quentin was walking over there. In that 10-second situation, Quentin was already over there. So obviously we're missing footage because he wasn't standing right next to her. I just wish people would go back and watch this episode. It was right in the beginning there when the whole feather comment happened. Quentin's face was that of terrified. Like he was nothing else but terrified. He was, because Janelle starts banging on the table and he was like, oh, it was like he didn't know what to do. But check out the second scenario where they show to Tequila, Herbert is standing, and like I literally went back and rewound. This is how I know. Herbert was standing or sitting right next to Tequila. When he saw Tequila start to react, he quickly picked up his shot and his wine and stepped off. I mean, it's such
okay, so since it's in the beginning, I will go back.
You have to go back and watch it. You're gonna watch it a couple of times.
I'm about to like look for this, but if it's in the beginning, I'm gonna go back and watch and see. I don't know who said the feather because a lot of people were saying that it was Jessica that said it, and so I don't know because I couldn't see Janelle's lips moving. So I don't know, but
plus everything is, I feel like, you know, with this, it's like everything is AI. I don't know what's real and what's not because they haven't obviously been showing us the real. So I just don't know. Now, okay, I'm going to segue now.
Yeah, because I think they said that situation happened in the very beginning of the whole reunion thing. So why did they just show it right there? I don't know, but
probably they wanted to create some sort of climactic, you know, like, oh, leading up to like, oh, you got to watch the end.
The nothing burger.
The nothing burger. Now, look, let me talk about this because I did feel like this whole time we've been saying Aries and Phil had a connection. Aries and Phil had a connection. When this thing came up and they finally got to sit together, I thought it was interesting because I didn't like the way they had couples sitting on different sides of the couch. They did confirm that they did have some dates. And I think that was cool. I have to shout out something specific in a minute. But, you know, they did mention the whole stability thing. Aries said she was married twice, so she wasn't trying to, like, you know, fuck around and find out type of thing. Like, look, I gotta be solid. I gotta know. And he doesn't like the word stability. Now, Phil, let me just tell you, if you ever see this, that's not, just don't say that anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if that's how you feel, like, that's something that you just keep to yourself, right? It's just like, if you don't like the word stability, if you hate the word stability, what does that mean to you? Like, come on, dog. That's not a good look. Like, don't hate the word stability. If you hate the word stability, then you probably should examine that. Like, why do you hate the word stability? That doesn't make me feel good. It's like, I hate the word law. I hate the word speed limit. I hate the word, you know what I'm saying, constraint. I hate the word, or, you know, not even constraint, but, you know, it's just like, I hate the word discipline. Like, it's just like, what? Like, you know, it's just like, you shouldn't hate it. What's up? Then he said something else that bothered me a little bit. And he was like, okay, and this is what I want to say. I think he's a good guy. And I think that, and I have some words that my husband said to you through the TV screen that I captured and I will recite to you. Kind words from a man to another man. But I thought it was funny, and he doesn't even know I'm about to say this. But before we get to that, I just want to say, like, buzzwords, like, you should probably, you know, consider not saying the following, right? He said, like, I hate that word. Like, when they talked about stability, it's like, no, don't say that. Even if you hate that word, act like it doesn't bother you, right? Because, like, you hating that word said something about you that you're probably not trying to say, right? Like, you can't hate the word stability.
I mean, because who doesn't like stability?
It's like you hate the word mortgage, or you hate the word cash, or you hate the word, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, look, you don't have to love it.
It was like, given the, like, okay, you've been confronted about this before, but I want to know why Tequila thought that as well, because she seemed to have a you know, a certain outlook on him from the comments that she was making from backstage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and she was talking about him.
It seemed like Unique was having a part in that conversation. I don't really know what Tequila and Phil's relationship was, because it seemed like he wasn't really trying to feel her. But I don't know if I said this last week, but I wasn't feeling Tequila's comments about Phil and his
that wasn't right. That wasn't
financial situation. It's like, look, man, I don't care. Like, everybody's going through things. People go through things. People get, you know, diagnosed with stuff. People get, you know, evicted. People go through things, real things. And I don't think that was cool to, like, bring that up, because everybody's gone through stuff. It's like, just because you haven't gone through that doesn't mean, and I haven't gone through that either, but even if I had, like, it's like, that's his personal business. That's not what we're here doing. I don't think it was cool. It's like, you can say a lot of stuff about people. Everybody's gone through things. If he had information about you, he probably wouldn't have even said it.
He probably wouldn't have known.
It wasn't cool.
No, but that's why I was like, I wonder why she feels like that, because we didn't see them have like no connection. So, like, I just, I was just like, why is she commenting that? But then I know that he said something that made her feel like she needed to respond, I guess. But he still wasn't even trying to engage with her at the reunion like that. He didn't seem like he was gonna like even like go down there. Not that she was low, but she was low.
I don't think he was. He said something to the effect of like, "Oh, you're really petty" or something like that. And I think if he were, okay, sorry to do this, guys, but we have footage. If he were more like Chris, he would have said exactly what he wanted to say without regard for respect. And I think he chose another option. I think he wanted to say something else, but he was like, you're super petty or whatever he said. And I think that was him expressing that he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't agree with what she was doing.
Because he also said that, he was cognizant of the fact that his family's going to be watching. His mom's going to see this or whatever. So he was, thinking about that as well. Like, how are you going to look when this plays back and you that person or whatever. So
I think a lot of people
were thinking about that in that moment or whatever. But a lot of people were like, hey, this is me. But yeah, those were unwarranted comments.
I think it was Brandon who said this, and I never saw him on stage, but Brandon said something to the effect of, "Yo, man, my pastor's watching this. Like, oh, please don't put me in this category by saying whatever you're saying, because my pastor and probably some of my yeah, come on, my pastor's watching this. Please don't do that."
But that just goes to show who's thinking about what,
Yeah.
But I said, at the end of the day, this season, like, I was excited for it to start. I don't feel like it gave me what I needed to get, like, that I usually get from even from like, our season that was here in DMV.
Yeah.
Or, even the Miami seasons. Like, it just didn't give me nothing. So I saw that Mocha said, so Ellen, so Mocha said this Instagram of Janelle's, right? And on there, she's talking about like what she came to do and how she did it. And she talked about the cast. She talked to the cast too, or whatever. Mm-hmm. At the end, like Mocha said, she went scorched earth. Ooh. On that jump. Like, I had to bust out laughing a couple of times because So Kojo, did she agree to interviews? Because she said she wasn't doing no interviews. Is she doing an interview, Mocha? Does he have the post interview that's gonna be happening tomorrow? Because or is he just doing a review? Because I'll definitely
be watching that.
Shout out to Kiss My Cheeks. If y'all do that right now, go subscribe to Kiss My Cheeks. She does reviews on a lot of stuff. And also Mocha Mima Media TV, definitely check her out as well. And Fourth Quarter. Where's Fourth Quarter? Let me go back up here.
He's somewhere in there. And speaking of him, let me get to these comments real quick. Not comments, but like, let me just say this before I move on to what he said. So of the words, like, Phil, please don't say, if you just take this with you, just advice, please don't say the whole thing about hating the word stability. And then another word that you might want to steer clear of is the word gig. I think the word gig,
thinking that too.
I think it's an unsafe word. I think it screams like,
it's not permanent. I felt like somebody's going to call him out about that, but yeah, it's not. It doesn't sound permanent. It sounds like.
And so I definitely looked it up, and it's basically exactly what you said. It's a temporary position that is, it's fall throughable. But I think there's certain words like that you can use like that might be harmless to you, but they can distract people, right? And I think gig is a word you stay away from, attributing your hatred towards.
So Phil got a list. He got a list.
Look, Phil, I just want to say this to you, and I want to leave you with this. Hey, Fourth Quarter. These are words from Fourth Quarter himself. I literally wrote these down right after he said some other stuff after this. but I just thought this was funny. So this is right after Aries and Phil were on stage, and he was talking about how he had, talking about the gig, stuff like that, how he had to work disability. And then Tommy asked him, "Oh, are you guys dating? I've heard you've been dating. We're having some dates." And she was like, yeah, we've been dating, whatever. So this is even after she didn't choose him. And, typically people be all in their feelings when somebody don't choose them. But, this is a television show, and, you're not trying to get married at the end of these weeks or whatever, right? So they obviously have a connection still, so they're pursuing it. Here is, and I quote, this is what James says to Phil. "Get your shit together, nigga. She's still feeling you. She's still giving you an in. You're not in the friend zone. Show her some consistency." That's what he said. And he said it like
all to James. Then
he said some other stuff. And I laughed like, I don't know why. I was like, did he get me like that? He said, "Get your shit together, nigga. She's still giving you an in. You're not in the friend zone. Show her some consistency." And I said, oh my goodness, is he a coach? Like, what is going on over here? And I laughed because I said, oh man, he done got me like that. But hey, I'm got you.
Hilarious. But no, I think that was good sound advice,
I laughed because he said it so
matter of factly.
He went on to say some other things that I just couldn't write fast enough. But I captured that because I said, wow, he was really passionate about it when he said it too. And I laughed. I said, maybe Phil wants to hear that. Or, or maybe somebody cares. I cared. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was good advice. And I was like, oh, look at this insightful situation here. Anyway, I think they definitely have something. And I will say this, it's something to be said for when you have a spark and a vibe with somebody, because you can create circumstances, you can create a lifestyle, you can create stability, you can create several forms of income, or streams of income. You can create whatever you put your mind to creating, but you can't necessarily manufacture a spark. And so if you could connect your mindset in a way where you could communicate your needs to someone, and you have a spark, and they're smart and you're smart, like the other things you can build skills on, you can't necessarily build a spark. So I'm always for like-minded people who have potential. Potential is a bad word, just forget I said that. But I like when people are intelligent and they can communicate. Like, there's certain things that are just skills that you could build, but then there's other things that are like, if you're gifted with a spark, if you notice that, somebody's interested in you, it's like maybe Phil's not, look, we got a whole situation about Phil.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, at the end of the day, it boils down to how she feels about how she would respect him. There's so many things that can go into that. And that is a very important thing. Like, I want to be able to respect the person that I'm calling my man. You know what I mean? And I don't want to have to feel like it's lacking because of something, that may be normal that he's working on, but I just got to be real about it. You know what I mean? Because once I lose respect, I'm like this. If I know that I lost respect, I'm out. I really would rather stop it wherever I notice it, because it's not going to get any better. You know what I mean? So and that could be, like I said, it could be a bunch of things that point to the respect factor. So, but like James said, maybe it's a matter of him just getting certain shit together. He knows whatever it is, he has to know.
Yeah.
He has to know. But
it's a matter of whether he wants to do that or not. When
the respect word comes in, there's no, we're gonna see if it gets better. Like, let's just stop here. So
let's just listen. Stop, buddy. Go and get off the bus. But you know what else is funny? I feel like, they didn't have to force it, where other people in the cast are obviously forcing things. Like, I don't know. I'm not here to say whatever, but I felt like we saw some forced situations.
I mean, that's every season, because, it's like they got to I don't know. It's a whole bunch of like elements to this thing. Like, yeah, we're going on this show to see if we can make connections. But then in the midst of that, now we're here, and I may not like everything that's going on, but now I'm here. So how can I make the best of this? That's what I see going on a lot too. Like, you know, at that point, it's like, damn, I'm here. I'm a part of this thing. There's food here. They give me a couple
there's
coins.
drinks. I might as well stay.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's why I'm excited to see the Ready to Move thing, because we already are familiar with some of those personalities and we know how they can be. And this whole concept, I don't like the fact that they're trying to just move. Like, we're not gonna make no other promises before we move. But it's for TV. I get it, and they may just want to go to a new city. But that's a big ass decision. But
it is.
They're gonna live in the house together, and they will have the choice of choosing the men that they're gonna be dating, which is something new for OWN, because the people are ready to love don't get to go out on the dates with the people that they want to go out on the dates with. So I'm interested to see what those ladies say about the picks that they had, because all of these men are here by your picking, instead of how the regular Ready to Love goes. So that is going to be an interesting element. They have a relationship expert or a matchmaker. They have a matchmaker. I think that's going to be bomb, because she knows all of these dudes. They have prerequisites for all of the dudes, which is that they're, handsome and successful, because they're vetted by this matchmaker. So this show, I feel like, is going to be interesting. And most of the drama is going to come from the fact that they're living in the same house and they're able to date the same men. That's where the problems are going to come in for this one.
I can't wait to see that. But you know what's funny is, like, I didn't meet her as a matchmaker. I met her as a cast member of Southern Charm in
that's right.
Louisiana. I cannot remember. New Orleans. And then, I don't know if she's still married, but I always say this. It doesn't matter if a matchmaker's married, because it's like a skill. It's like putting together a recipe. So you don't necessarily need to be hungry to make good food, type of thing, or you don't need to be, like a carnivore to make a good steak. Like, it's a recipe. If you have the technique, if you have the eye for sort of like putting things together, then you can do that. But I will say that as far as this show is concerned, I think, listen, if we're talking about having a hit show, I think they're onto something. I think they've got a good blueprint, because they have data already that they're pouring into this. But if we're talking about, like, the concept of the show and, like, is it going to work for people? Listen, I will say this. I think in our day and age, like, we've gotten into this mindset that, like, we have to meet a certain standard to be considered valuable in society, and we're not necessarily thinking about, like, our own experience. And I think 50 years ago, people did not care. They would move wherever. It's like, I live in Texas, but I'm going to Minnesota. I want to go to Tennessee. I don't care if I have $5. I'm going to California. Like, I'm going to go here because this was drawing to me. And I think now we think differently. I think we're like, oh, well, I live in North Carolina and I make $40,000 a year, but I have a good job. So I don't want to lose this good job. So I'm not going to take a risk and go to Atlanta, because what if I don't get this in Atlanta? So I'm going to stay here. And then motherfuckers spend their whole life, you know what I'm saying? Like, because of the societal pressure to maintain something, as opposed to going in after an experience. And I think that this sort of pulls that card a little bit. Like, look, you're whoever you are. Like, opportunity is not lacking. You could go anywhere and figure shit out, or move back in 2 years. But I think
that's something that I've always admired about people. Like, I've lived a couple of different places, but never really, really far from home. And I worked with a couple of people who did this, like, who just up and moved from the state that they were from and came here, and not knowing anybody. I'm like, that's bold. Like, that's really bold. I like that about you. I like that for you. But I don't know, if I move somewhere, I have to at least have a family member in the area. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Not even that I want to go visit the family member on a regular basis.
It's like, you gotta have somebody that's.
It would just be like knowing, okay, well, at the end of the day, at least somebody else is here or whatever. But I mean, shit, because things have changed. Like, who knows what's gonna happen? We just got that alert on our phones the other day, and me and Earl was joking, because he was like, did you get that alert? I was like, yeah. He was like, then they got an alert about something happened on campus. You know what I'm saying? And so
what happened earlier this week. I would have scared me.
So then I was like, low key, that alert made me feel like we was gonna get one that say "Stay in your houses, do not come out" or some shit like that.
Oh, like The Purge?
I mean, shit. Who knows? I don't like those Purge movies, but I have watched like one or two. But yeah, like something like that. Like okay, so I don't know. That's crazy. But okay, so back to this. Sorry, y'all. Mocha says Tamika is still with Barry. They're doing an interview with Will Packer and his wife. When?
Okay, good. I'm so glad to hear that because I read somewhere that they were not together anymore. I'm so glad to hear that. So I watched that season.
Well, yeah, that would not have gone good if she, like, I don't know. People judge. Do people judge
people do by their relationship? Because there was this lady named Patty. Was it?
I remember her, Patty Stanger.
Yes, she was bomb.
What was her show?
$1 Million Matchmaker. And
yeah, I liked her show.
What she does, all the stuff that she used to say. Now she used to say it in a way that used to rub people wrong, but she was right. She'll be like, "Don't give it up. Do this. 2 drink minimum or 2 drink maximum. Don't have more than 3 drinks. It's your first mixer." She would be throwing people out of there like,
what happened to her?
Get out of here. She's probably, you know what? I haven't seen her in several years, but I hope that she's somewhere having found love herself because she really knew what she was talking about. I ain't gonna lie, like, and they used to say,
watch her show.
But she don't got no man. How's she matchmaking people? Well, she doing it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and she not wrong neither. Like some of the stuff she was saying, I'll be like, dang, I didn't think about it like that, but she's right. But anyway, okay, let me say this, and then I know we got to end this soon, but listen. I wanted to talk about, I don't even need to talk about Kira, but Morier, okay, I have to say this. I did not consider Morier like attractive in the beginning, but like then as I started to understand who he was, I can understand the appeal. And he has this like Southern charm and this like, he's like a preacher. He's like an old Southern preacher. Like if he would have marched with Martin Luther King, you know what I'm saying? He got the slick wave back. I feel like he would have been right standing beside Jesse. I feel like he got that whole vibe. And
hey, Kamisha.
There's a suaveness that goes with that I think is, more whatever visible in person.
I feel you there. I
didn't get it at first. I was like, what?
Nobody, like, he will be that person that if you were at a party and you called your friend and was like, hey, I'm at this party, and she said, anybody there? You looked at him, you'd be like, kind of, you just come down, there's people here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You wouldn't have necessarily been like, no, but so as it went along, yeah, I was like, okay, but Morier, I feel like Morier fell victim to like being told what to do too throughout the show. So
yeah, I think so too.
So I know, but shout out to Kamisha, y'all. She actually had at the beginning an interview premiere where she went and interviewed Chris, the Nigerian prince, in person. Okay, so that video is up, and I need to go watch that. So Kamisha, I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna talk about it after I watch it. But subscribe to Kamisha. The panel for Ready to Love is tomorrow, so definitely be in the building over there on her channel. Anyway,
yes, I second that. I will definitely be watching that. Now, listen, the last thing that I want to say is about Janelle and Quentin. I thought that Quentin really did have her back. I thought that, regardless of to whether they were in a real relationship or not, we didn't, I don't know if we ever heard them say that, but they seem like they're still attracted to one another. He said that they still have work to do, and she was like, we're integrating each other into our real lives. They hit some bumps on the other side, but they were still giving each other Google eyes, and he had his arm around her, and he was taking up for her. He was checking on her. I did wonder where he was when Shaba said what he said, right. and Herbert had to come over there and hug her. But, right. I wasn't on set. I don't know how that played out.
Right, but clearly he wasn't over there. And I agree. I feel like, yes, they were attracted to each other. They liked each other. And at the end of the day, what do you do after that? Then you continue to get to know each other and you date day to day, like they said. So they're just dating. You know what I mean? They may not be exclusive, but it was funny how Red asked about were they exclusive, but that just kind of lets you know too, like even though he was joking, there's probably some truth to that joke. But I think that they probably like each other. They were attracted to each other, and then they're just in each other's rotation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I think.
But I will say this:
you could just be real cool with them and have that, and you're good with it right there. Who knows? Because he said they get married if they start dating. So
yeah, I liked that though. That was a really sexy statement. He said, if we're getting in a relationship, we're getting married.
But why wouldn't she just go ahead and get into a relationship if that's what she wants? Because she ain't got that much time to be. She said that she needs to work on the kids ASAP.
I think that's what he was alluding to, but I think those are also powerful words in the other way, because it's like, how do you not know if you're getting into a relationship? Because if you're so adamant about,
getting married,
it's like, okay, well, what are the next 3 steps? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the barrier, right? But also, that's not my business. But also, you're on TV telling me about this, so please tell me more, right? And so I just feel like, I don't know what was stopping them from sort of like claiming a relationship, but he was very intentional when he made that statement. And I was like, wow, I wish more people were like that in the world, because I do feel this sense of, I was watching this, we got to go back to our Thursday nights. There's so many things I want to talk about, but I saw Tia Mowry talking about dating and all this after she's gotten her divorce, or, I don't know if it's official, but she was talking about dating and how it's different out here in these streets, and like she's used to being courted and all this stuff. So I just felt like, as far as Janelle and Quentin are concerned, part of me feels like, oh, I wish them well, and I do wish them well, but a part of me feels like I wish Lee would have came through and been like, what about us? Like, you know what I'm saying? Not like you're going to fight over like Mocha Steph or whatever.
But you have to want that. And I think after a certain point, if she's the type of person that like, you need to pursue me and I'm waiting for you to pursue me and you'll never pursue me, eventually she's going to start thinking, well, then I don't even want you to pursue me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm damn sure not about to come out and be like, what's up with us? Because what's happening here? So then,
yeah,
that thing that that whole two different groups of people that I was talking about, the people who are gonna jump out there and be like, when you gonna let me do this, or when are we doing this? Like, that is frowned upon from people who want somebody to come and pursue them. Like, oh my God, you want me to say what to him? So Blondie said Red is so messy. I see it, Mocha. The interview information. I don't see the date. When is the actual interview? I want to watch that. Or are they talking about on Instagram? Red is so messy. Yes, he is. But there's some truth to all these jokes. So I don't know.
Yeah, they say the funniest jokes be the truest.
I mean, it's not funny unless it's based in some type of truth, right? But Blondie says they might really like each other like that. He better know what he's getting himself into. Exactly. So I think that probably could be the hold up too. It's like she might know what she wants, and he might think he know what he wants, right? Or might be saying that.
But obviously, look, this is what I said. This is what I was saying earlier. Like, Jessica sort of like got away with whatever they're accusing her of. Janelle did not, because they called her several descriptive words. None, you know what I'm saying? Like, nothing disrespectful, but they were like, you're basically like hard to get along with. You're rude. They called her combative as well. They said things about her that she could not defend. She could only make blanket statements about. So I have to, wonder whether those statements were true, because she, if Jessica got away with it, Janelle did not. But I also recognize Q's response. Now, when they played back all of these footage, like clips, I was just noticing his reaction and his he was mortified in certain areas, especially when they went back to the green room on the set of the reunion and Janelle banged on the table. He was like afraid.
Well, see, a lot of dudes do not like when women act like that. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, like, she might be like, she might already be aware of how she is, and she might be cool with that. So in that, she might be like, I know you saying this is what you want, but let's try to get ourselves together in real life, and you can see if you can handle it. That, I think that might be where they are. He still wants to be with her. She's attracted to him, but she like, nigga, I know I'm a lot, and I'm gonna need you to just sign here.
Not out of the question.
Because I do think that they were attracted to each other. I do.
Yeah, but attraction, doesn't necessarily seal the deal. So anyway, that's all I got for tonight. I wish everybody well. I hope that everybody, does well. But this was not the most, successful season of this experiment.
No, it was not. And the last things I'll say is, I do wish everybody well as well. I know the cast probably has some great ideas for new shows. So only y'all need to be like at those events that y'all have, y'all need to be talking to these people about that. Get them into some like little focus groups or little meetings about that, because I'm pretty sure the ideas are right there in the big ass group of alumni of cast members that they have. Then the last thing I'll say about that is please let the people go on the connections with the people who they're connected
yes, please let them go on the dates with the connections that they saying they're having. Please.
What are y'all doing?
What?
So I won't go over my list, but that is the main thing that I'd like on to start doing. Oh, and let them have some type of speed dating event at the Mixer so that everybody gets in front of everybody. Those are the main two things if you continue on with the show. But I will be here to watch Ready to Love make a move. But I think what really happened here is they didn't show us what really progressed because they didn't want to get to the end and be like, we didn't have any connections.
There could have been another option for them. And I mean, listen, I'm not producing this show. I don't know. I just feel like we would have, as viewers, appreciated more of what was really happening as opposed to like the contrived storyline. And I do agree with you. I think that they should. Okay, here's what I think will make the show more interesting. Tommy, here's a curveball for next season. How about you do some old Top Chef shit and bring back a former eliminated person back into the dating mix or something like that. And I know that it's like the more you get to know a person, but I feel like there needs to be some different curveballs. I don't think people are really feeling the whole, I don't know. I listen, you guys, it's your show, but clearly this season we saw y'all slip. Your slip was showing this season, and I feel like you're on to something with the Ready to Move, but for this particular formula, it needs to tighten up in a way where it's more palpable. And I feel like also, there's no new ideas under the sun, they say, but like it's nothing wrong with going and borrowing something from other things that are conceptually solid. There's certain things that we're seeing on other shows as far as people being compatible, as far as, like blind dates being actually blind and you can't see the person, as far as just different elements. And I appreciated some of the things that they tried to do, but, it was too reality showy and not enough like reality. Like we should have just seen some of the stuff and it would have been more. Anyway, I've said this.
I feel you on that. I feel that because the reality TV, yes, it is organized and there's parts that are scripted, but the thing is you have real people that could give you real answers to something at any moment, so you just never know. So but yeah,
hey, get y'all a real makeup crew. Stop.
I think we have to let that part go though, because it's like
maybe the lighting too.
But see, also, it is definitely lighting, but they would also have to get everybody there at a certain time to be able to do all those faces and stuff like that. So I imagine that they don't have that much time, especially going from place to place or whatever. But I don't know, because that's been a thing all season, all the seasons.
I know, but it's something that you should just go ahead and get together, because there's something to be learned from these other shows. None of these other shows are really getting it wrong. I've not had that complaint. You know what I'm saying? I've not seen that, but I feel like this is a consistent issue.
That's true.
And I think it's a consistent decision that's being made. Like, sometimes I even feel like that in other parts or projects in my life, like specifically at work, where it's just like people do things because they're traditions, because we've always done it this way. But it's like, maybe that's not working. You know what I'm saying? Let's examine that.
I'm gonna start paying attention to it in other shows, because I haven't noticed it like
you
that.
Haven't noticed it because they be doing the makeup right, even on the news. You know what I'm saying?
Just remembering how your wedding was and how many people did we have in the thing that had to get faces done. I mean, I just remember that being a wow for that lady to do our faces. Now she beat the heck out of our faces. I still be looking at that picture. She did real good. You know what I'm saying?
So she did 3 faces, and then Jadera did 4 faces.
That's right. Janera was doing faces.
Janera is a
Shout out to
certified
Janera.
makeup artist, and she knew what she was doing. She did the other faces while the person that had do the other 3 faces. So it's like everybody
My point
got.
is, think of how many of them it is, and they need time, and they already said that they had like multiple dates a day, right? So like they couldn't stop and do that. Sometimes they had to do their own makeup. You know what I mean? Like the best thing that I could think to happen is that you be a person that know how to do your own makeup because you be ready for all the scenes.
Well,
you know
I think
mean?
there's also a thing where you do your own makeup in a certain light, and then the lighting for the camera.
That's what it is.
And I don't think I think that sometimes the color or the tinge of the light.
And some of it is people not matching certain colors, but
I think
some
you can put your makeup on in a certain light. Like under the bathroom light, it might look a certain way, and then you get under like a blue light or a fluorescent light, and it doesn't look good anymore.
Right.
It's green.
That's what Sabrina said. Sabrina did her own makeup on her season, but she said she always did her makeup in natural light. So that was the thing, right? So, but some of it is lighting, but I do think some of it is also a matching thing too. Like they
like you're wearing the wrong color
or whatever. But I was on that when it first started. I was like, oh my God, and these are representations of you. Like, why don't you just have a makeup artist ready to go? But it's not like that unless they're sitting down and they have time, I guess. And I would think that they would do it for the reunion. But even if they did it for the reunion, if the person isn't doing their makeup in a natural light, it's still gonna have the same effect. You see what I'm saying? So I just let it go. I just, if it doesn't look too atrocious, I just be like, fine, whatever. Like, it is what it is. But yeah, that used to be one of my pet peeves. I'd be like, why do you have their faces orange? But
I think it's one of those things like, several decades ago, maybe like 2 or 3 decades ago, we all started to find out we were wearing the wrong bra size, right? And it's like, you need to go get fitted for a bra. And I think it's the same thing with makeup. I think, you can make several things work for you until you get in some lighting, but a lot of people don't ever get in that lighting and realize that their makeup is off. They just be going everywhere and their makeup is off and they never know. Because nobody's going to take you aside and be like, hey,
one day I will share my thoughts on what I think about makeup, but I will reserve it until I absolutely have to come out with it. But I think I'll say one time I wore makeup, but I don't have that kind of time, yo. I just be imagining how long people take to do it. I just be like, bro, you got that kind of time? Like, what the hell? But also, let me jump in here. We should go. Have you ever been to Soma?
Oh, I've heard of it. I don't know if I've been.
We should go to Soma because we should go to Soma.
Okay.
They have really good bras, but since I've been my clothes fit differently and stuff like that, I want to go get Anyway, you guys, this is none of your business. But I want to go get remeasured.
Okay, got it. Okay, heard. I'm looking it up right now. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've definitely seen this. All right, we're gonna go.
Anyway, sorry guys, TMI. All right, so that's it for this. We're gonna be back. I guess are we coming back Friday? We're gonna do Fridays for Ready to Love Radio.
Yes, we have to. We have to.
Okay, so we'll be back Friday with that. We have been off for Thursday Night Live because things been thinging, right? Things been happening.
Life in.
And I don't even know. I think I might do an upload this coming Thursday. It just depends because I'm about to do something different. If I get it done over the weekend, then I'm good to go. But if I don't, I'll probably be still doing it next week. So we'll figure that out. But I did just upload a Love Experiment video for the recap on that. That show's getting really good as well. I have been watching Love is Blind. Have you watched Love is Blind at all?
No, not yet, but I saw a clip. I saw a clip and I was like, let me see this.
That'll be something that we can discuss on the Thursday Night Live because I decided I'm actually not going to do reviews on it. There's so much to say about that show. So we're just going to have to talk about it at the end, I guess, because I've been watching it and I think I'm on episode 7, 6. And I'm just like, oh my God. So yeah, I gotta get in on that. But that's it. Unless you got some last words, I'm about to get out of here and enjoy my Friday night. You feel me?
Yes, I don't have no more words. Thank y'all for tuning in.
God
bless you. Good night.
You don't have nothing else to say. I'm sorry.
I had a good time. But I've already said it. This season was not the best, but it wasn't, awful. It was just not. It didn't hit
mad for me. Like
it didn't hit like it needed to hit.
if you're watching this on the replay, comment below. What do you think about this season as a whole? What do you think about the reunion? Like, I don't know. Thank you for coming out. God bless. Good night. Appreciate
That's what I
meeting you
said.
guys. Like, okay, now, I mean, I am going to look for a couple of interviews though.
Yeah.
Just to
The
see.
interviews are more entertaining than the actual show.
Yeah, because now they should be able to talk.
That you could have created something with reality, right? But you didn't. You created something with your footage.
And now they can talk freely after this. So,
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so that's all I have. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out of here.